Hi everyone, it's Monica, and welcome back to Tailor-Made Cards for You. There is nothing more vintage than French typography. So we're going to go ahead and create a card today using some printables from VectoriaDesign, and I'm going to show you how to create not only a beautiful card on the outside, but as well as the inside. We're also going to be incorporating an ordinary office date stamp into our design, as well as a sentiment that I created with PicMonkey. The printable that I'm working with is some typewriter keys. And you can easily cut these out using your scissors and fussy cut them, but I did have a circle punch that fit perfectly on my printables. The paper stack that I'm using is from 7 Gypsies, and it's called Vintage Writing. The pack has solid cardstock papers as well as some printed cardstock papers. You're also going to get some corrugated flute papers and some fabric pieces. There are some assorted embellishments as well. It's a wonderful paper stack to put together any card or mixed media item. It gives you lots of options for your designs. Now this vintage typewriter is also from VectoriaDesign. It is from one of their paper stacks, and in the stack I believe it's called Office Papers. You get a variety of different options. Now for this particular design, I only needed the typewriter. So I pulled the entire image into PicMonkey and I cropped out the rest of the paper. That way I only had to print the typewriter portion. And then using my tonic scissors, I just fussy cut around the typewriter to create a piece of ephemera. Now that's what's great about printables, is you can use as much or as little as you need, and that way you're not wasting too much of your ink. Now the card base that I'm creating today is a 5.5 by 5.5 piece, and I know this is a little bit bigger than our typical greeting cards, but I really wanted to focus on the typewriter. And I felt that if I used a regular A2 card, that I was going to miss out on some of the other items to embellish the card. The background on this paper is so beautiful, I wanted to show as much as possible, and I really didn't want to skimp on my design. Additionally, when you're layering cards, you're going to want to have a bigger card base, so that way a lot of your layers and the different types of cardstock does show through. Now, as I said, I wanted the typewriter to be the focal point of my card, so I did use some adhesive pop-ups to give the typewriter some dimension. And then using my distressing tool, I did distress the edge of the cardstock to fray it. Now typically on all of my cards, when I do use my distress tool to fray the edges, I do come in with some walnut stain to give it some aged color. And then I also decided to add some baker's twine. So I wrapped some black and white twine around the card and I stuck it underneath the typewriter and tied a knot. So once I had all of my layers in place, it was time to embellish. Now I knew that I wanted to have a sentiment that used the old vintage typewriter font, but I didn't have a stamp or a sentiment that met that criteria. So I went on the internet and I found a font called ADLER, A-D-L-E-R, and I did download it as it was free to add to my Word font collection. And then using PicMonkey, I went in and I created my own sentiment. This quote is from J.D. Salinger, and I thought it was a perfect quote for a love card. I didn't want it to be too mushy, but I wanted to have a sentiment that emphasized what love really is. I wanted it to reflect how I see love in marriage, and to me, you have to have laughter in a successful marriage. Now, this is exactly why I love making custom cards, because maybe to you, love means something else. And you can create your own sentiment or phrase, and you can capture your memories through your card making. Now, this date stamp I picked up over at Simply Stamps, and it's just your ordinary date stamper. But I really love these because you can put birthdays on them. On this particular one, I used a Valentine's date, and you can just add to the personalization of the card. I also like that the stamped numbers and letters look like they're typewritten, so it does add to the vintage look that I always go for on my cards. So once I was finished decorating the outside of the card, I did take some of the same designer paper and decorate the inside as well. I did post a picture at the end of the video, so you'll be able to see the completed card outside as well as in. So I hope that I've given you some ideas today about customizing your cards, not only with using printables, but also with creating some of your own sentiments. I will leave a list of all the products that I've used to create this card, as well as links to the stores. I'll also include the link to Victoria Designs, who has some great vintage printables, and I encourage you to check out her store. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you head out. And I'd love to see your comments, so feel free to leave a comment. All right, everyone, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.